Dinosaurs that once roamed Delmarva, they're long gone, but not all prehistoric animals were wiped out. In fact, you can find some in certain waterways.
We are talking about sturgeon. Today's Throwback Thursday, and although he's not actually throwing it back to prehistoric times, Secrets of the Eastern Shore author Jim Duffy is filling us in on how these remarkably ugly fish went from an oddity to big business. How are you, Jim?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Doing wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us. So, why is this ugly fish so interesting?
They are ugly, aren't they? Holy cow. They're so old is one reason why they're so interesting. So they were around when the dinosaurs were around. These fish were survivors. And they continue to be survivors. There's not very many of them in our waters right now because of what we'll talk about, the history of fishing them. But they're still out there, and they still come up, and people still catch them every once in a while.
Now, fishing for the sturgeon used to be a pretty big deal here on Delmarva.
It was. It goes all the way back to Native American times. So the other thing that makes the fish interesting is they are huge. They can go like 500, 600 pounds, and they can go up to like 14 feet. And the Native Americans used to fish these things. And you think, how in the world did they do that with no sort of technology? And it was kind of like a rodeo thing where they would lasso them or they'd spear them and a rope would be attached to the spear. The Europeans, they weren't interested in this fish. They found it completely annoying. Isn't that interesting? For all the things we borrowed from Native Americans, corn and, all these other crops and ways of life and things like that, the Europeans rejected the sturgeon.
They just flat didn't like the ugly fish.
They didn't like it. They killed sturgeon in the way that we might kill a spider around the house. They just thought it was ugly and useless. And I guess, you can imagine you're sitting in your fishing boat and these 600-pound sturgeon, right around this time of year is when it would happen. They all come upriver to spawn, and they're knocking your boat, and they're scaring all the other fish, and they're knocking your nets down, and they're tearing through them. So they were an aggravation. And all the Europeans did was kill them for nothing. Until the 1840s. There's such a fascinating little article in the Philadelphia Inquirer. It's like 2 paragraphs long. And it says, well, this is odd. There's a Russian immigrant who's offering $1 a piece for a live sturgeon. But this Russian immigrant was apparently taking in live sturgeon and then waiting for them to hit the point in their life cycle where he could get the caviar out of them and then sell them to Russian and East European immigrants in Philadelphia. So that guy kind of started it, but nobody knows his name or anything. And then another guy, a German immigrant, forgive my pronunciation, Bendix Bloom or something like that. He really kicked it into gear and opened like a factory, and all of a sudden the Delaware River, our little Delmarva Peninsula, is like the caviar capital of the Western Hemisphere, isn't that cool?
Who knew? But apparently...
Apparently he did, yeah.
Sturgeon went from like 25 cents a piece is what they were valued to $30 a piece. This happened in the space of like 25 or 30 years, when people were just killing them because like they were spiders, to people who were like getting rich off of them like they were mink stoles and stuff like that. But money, money cuts both ways. It's great to get rich, but sometimes greed, they overfished the sturgeon.
I was going to say, this couldn't have been good for the sturgeon.
Nearly made them extinct because they were also getting rich on them. Well, but like I say, they survived the dinosaur extinction. They survived the overfishing. They're still down there, and there's a lot of people, smart people in kind of the environmental community who are trying to help them come back. So
that would be good.
Secrets of the Eastern Shore author Jim Duffy, Throwback Thursday. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you.